Hello, my name is Pumpkin Fluff. I'm going to be casting the North American League of Legends Academy League series taking place during the 2018 Spring Split season. This is Week 1, Match 2, FlyQuest Academy versus TSM Academy. Let's go ahead and take a look at the rosters for these teams. For FlyQuest Academy, we have No in the top lane, Shrimp in the jungle, Keen in the mid lane, Airy as AD carry, and JJ as his support. On the other side for TSM Academy, it's Brandini in the top lane, Greg in the jungle, Ablaze Olive in the mid lane, Mr. Rawlez as the AD carry, and Shady as support. One of the things I want to talk about here with these rosters is that TSM Academy has a lot of names that, if you're familiar with the scene, should be recognizable. Brandini and Greg both played on Echo Fox. Ablaze Olive is a high solo queue player. He often streams duo with Medios. Mr. Rawlez has been on the TSM team as a substitute AD carry for almost a year now, I believe, and Shady has played in the LCS as a support for Phoenix 1 last split. So TSM has a lot of big names. On the other hand, FlyQuest Academy, Shrimp and Keen both played on Dignitas last year. So they are an established duo, so we have to look and see what they will be bringing in this game. Let's go ahead and bring up the game now. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at the picks and bans, or just the picks, since this is all we get. We don't actually get the picks and bans going through as you would a normal LCS game. Riot just uploads these YouTube videos, so this is all we get. If we look at the picks on FlyQuest side, they have Gnar in the top lane, Zac in the jungle, Orianna in the mid lane, Kog'Maw as AD carry, and Tahm Kench as support. For TSM Academy side, they have Vladimir in the top, Jarvan in the jungle, Ryze in the mid lane, Ezreal as AD carry with Tark as support. What stands out to me here most of all is that all of TSM's picks are really strong. Vladimir is somewhat known as a lane bully. He usually wins lane against Gnar. Jarvan is a strong pick in the jungle. Ryze is incredibly meta right now. Very strong, one of the top 3 picks. Ezreal's a great AD carry. Very strong in the early game with that Kleptomancy, giving him his early power spikes. And Taric is a pretty standard melee support. For FlyQuest side, Gnar in the top lane is a strong team fighter. He does well in the lane, but I think he gets pushed in by Vlad. Zac is a strong jungler, not quite one of the S tier, but right below that. Orianna is somewhat out of the meta, but she does well into Ryze as she outranges him. Kog'Maw is a hyperscaling AD carry, which do well right now, and Tahm Kench is a fairly standard melee support, which is great to pair with Kog'Maw since he's usually pretty immobile, but having that Tahm Kench to save him can really be a huge asset. Alright, so let's go ahead and start this game. Alright, loading up into the Rift, one of the few problems we have with casting these games is that we don't get to see the rune setups for these players. Riot did not include that when they put the video on YouTube, so all we have to go on is what we can see. It does look like 3 of the members on FlyQuest Academy did go with that stopwatch rune. There's a little bit of debate over whether or not that's helping the game or hurting the game. Regardless, they have it, so we'll see if they can make good use out of that. On the other side, for TSM Academy, they only have 2 stopwatches. Ryze did take the minion dematerializer for his laning pressure. It makes it really easy for him to push out the lane and gain extra control, which he might need going up against the Orianna, who can push him out. It looks like FlyQuest might have been looking to get a little aggressive in the jungle, but they decide not to. TSM Academy, Greg is going to be starting up in the top side of the map, starting on his red buff, getting a leash from the Vladimir, while it looks like Zac is going to be starting on the bottom side. This means Zac will probably move up to the top lane, and he can get an early gank off with his Elastic Slingshot, the E ability, So we'll have to see if Nar's in a place where he can get that gank off onto the Vladimir. Looks like Mr. Rallas and Shady are trying something a little funny here in the bottom lane, hiding in that bush. Let's see if it pays off for them. Looks like they actually moved out and are just going to go ahead and start hitting the minion wave. Looking at the lane matchups, I would expect, for the most part, the bottom lane to go even. Having the two melee supports kind of negates any real aggression that can come out of that, especially having the Tom Pinch in the bottom lane to save Ezreal in case the Tarek stun, or to save Kog'Maw in case the Tarek stun does come in. Mid lane, like I've been saying, I expect Orianna to have pressure. She has a lot more range than Ryze with her Maul. So it's easier for her to get Harass out and push him in. For the top lane, usually Vladimir wins this lane, I imagine. I don't play top lane, so I don't know the exact matchups, but Vladimir usually gets a lead, from what I understand, whereas Gnar might have a harder time later on in the laning phase. As far as scaling goes in this game, I believe that FlyQuest is going to have a little bit more of that on their side. Having the Kog'Maw, who's going to be putting out a lot more damage than Ezreal in the team fights. A little bit of trading up here in the top lane. No is getting aggressive onto Brandini, really harassing him under turret. Have to see if any of that amounts to much, or if Brandini is going to be able to pick up the CS under tower. Going back to the scaling, Ryze will probably also be outscaled by Orianna. He's very strong on his 1-2 item power spike, but Orianna just has so much more utility in the game with her speed ups, her shields, her slows, as well as her incredible team fighting ultimate. So she's going to probably outscale Ryze. There's a gank coming in and the flash comes out from Blaze Olive. Keen is chasing, but they don't know. They do know where Greg is, but they decide not to chase it too much further. In the top lane, again in the team fights, this time I think the Vladimir will outscale the Gnar. He has insane team fight damage, but the Gnar does bring that CC that the Vlad doesn't offer. However, the Tarek support is going to be a lot stronger in the team fights. Overall, I'd say that both these teams have fairly equal team fighting, especially later in the game with the Tarek ult to save people. They can become aggressive with the Jarvan going in with the Tarek ult. It's a really strong combo. Get Vlad in there on top of that doing massive damage, and it's going to be very difficult for FlyQuest. But on the other hand, they do have the Kog'Maw, which will put out a lot of damage, the Orianna with her Shockwave, Zac ult and E, as well as the Gnar CC. I'm actually really excited to see these team fights and how they play out if they do get into a full 5-on-5. It looks like across the lanes, TSM are ahead in the CS. Looks like Jarvan might be going for a gank here in the mid lane, but Keen is too far under tower for anything to happen. TSM will move into the top side jungle at FlyQuest Academy and put down some wards. Grig is going for a wraparound gank here onto No. See what happens when this minion wave crashes, if they actually go for anything. Minion wave is not hitting the turret, so they might have to wait for anything to happen. Brandini's incredibly low. This might just be a kill for the Gnar. Vlad heals up, and it looks like nothing is going to come from this. Grig is waiting in the bush for an awfully long time, though. We have to see if he actually does something, or if it's going to turn into nothing. So he's spotted on the map, and it looks like he's just going to get out of it. He uses the blast gun, the flag and drag away. That was very nice, but Keen is on the backside with the Orianna, getting some good damage. Here comes the Shockwave, the Elastic Arm, and that's first blood going to Zac on the side of FlyQuest Academy. Very good teamwork from them, having Orianna come up from the mid lane while the Ryze moved down towards the bottom lane, even though they saw the Jarvan, yeah, even though they knew that the gank was coming in on their side, FlyQuest was able to pull it off better than TSM. They managed to run more people up to the top lane, and they were able to capitalize on Greg kind of forcing that gank, honestly. Shrimp is hiding in the Raptor camp and was not spotted by a Blaze Olive. But it is a 1v2 situation if he tries to do anything. Keen is here, they go in for the gank, and the unstoppable ult from Zac misses. That should relieve a little bit of pressure on the side of TSM now that Shrimp doesn't have that ult, and we have to see what they can do. Well, they know that those Zac ganks aren't going to be quite as strong. There are some pings coming down in the bot lane. Looks like Shrimp might be looking to make his way down here in a few minutes. I believe those pings were coming from him. After that first bit of aggression, it's kind of slowed down a little bit. FlyQuest Academy is ahead in gold, only by about 400, which is pretty much what that first blood is worth. The CS is still in favor of TSM Academy. The mid lane rises up by over 10 CS, which is a pretty good lead 8 minutes into the game. Same thing down in the bottom lane. Ezreal is ahead in gold. He's going to have that Kleptomancy gold as well as being 10 CS up, so he should be in a pretty good place. He's already recalled and bought his tier, and it looks like he has biscuits as well. So he's starting to scale. He's going to keep grabbing that mana until he gets another chance to go back and finish either his mana immune or grab a Sheen. Kog'Maw was able to pick up the recurve bow. So he has attack speed, which is good on Kog'Maw, but it doesn't really add a whole lot of damage unless his W is on. Nar's already picked up that Phage, going towards the Black Cleaver. Looks like Vlad in the top lane has picked up the Frost Fang, which is pretty common up for Vlad right now. He's really able to make a lot of use out of the gold generation on that item, and it helps him just to scale into the late game. Looks like there's another gank coming in the top lane. Shrimp uses the Elastic Arms, not sure what that ability is called, but he isn't able to pull Brandini back into the wave. So Brandini escapes. It doesn't look like any summoners were blown, so it should be fine. Shrimp and Greg look like they might get in a fight, but a Blaze Olive being right there means that Shrimp can't really do anything unless Keen's able to roam up with him. Keen is harassing the Rise, but even though the matchup, I believe, is supposed to be in the Orianna's favor, she hasn't been able to make much of it, even with that early assist. Shrimp gets a great ult onto Greg, and Keen's there to pick up that kill. Really well done for FlyQuest Academy. A Blaze Olive just not respecting where his jungle is and not able to go help him. Maybe he is respecting him, but he was not in a position to be able to help him as his wave was getting pushed in. So really good play on the FlyQuest Academy side. Looks like Keen might be diving a Blaze Olive. We have to see if Shrimp goes in. I believe he does still have his passive, so they should be able to go in on this, though it doesn't look like they're going to. Shrimp pops his rune onto the tower, and it looks like that's all they're going to do is just get some tower damage onto that. Let's start taking a look here. It looks like Jarvan is going for the tank Jarvan build, going Cinderhold instead of building towards the Warrior. This is a lot more common right now, just especially in competitive play. Jarvan is strong with the Warrior enchantment. Oh, there's a root on the King. He flashes away. A Blaze Olive flashes afterwards, and the Stopwatch comes in. Stopwatch also comes in for Blaze Olive, and using that Rise ult, he's able to escape. It's one of the more frustrating things about playing against Rise is you think you have him in a great position, and then he just has a free escape. Really for no cost, as it's not a huge combat ultimate. So he doesn't lose any strength in fighting. He is low, and it looks like they might have to go back to base. So we'll see if FlyQuest can get any more damage on this turret. But it looks like Keen's also low, so he might just push out one more wave and go back without getting damage on the turret. Kog'Maw is keeping relatively even in CS up against this Ezreal now. The lead hasn't extended any further for Ezreal. So it's really good on Kog'Maw. As I said, once he starts hitting later in the game, he's going to be much stronger. And he does already have a Wit's End, so he's sitting on a full item. The Ezreal also is as well, with the Myrrh mana finished up. As well as the Sheen, so Ezreal's pretty much online, going to be doing a lot of damage with his Qs, getting that poke in. So we have to see if they're able to move him around the map. I don't expect that to happen though until at least the first turret falls. So it looks like laning phase is just going to be extended for now. FlyQuest does have a little bit of a lead thanks to Shrimp's great games. And here he pulls off another ultimate. The shockwave comes out from Orianna. They're still going in. A Blazed Olive is incredibly low. So is Keen. Keen gets the shield. He pops out. And Keen goes down to Greg, sitting inside of that Jarvan ultimate. The stun comes out onto JJ. The stopwatch comes out as well. Here comes Gnar into the side, but it looks like he's going to back out as it would have been a 4v2 at that point. Really good pickup from TSM Academy, able to collapse a lot faster than FlyQuest, bringing in more members, as well as having that Ezreal ult to do a lot of damage from across the map. It doesn't look like they're going to pick up any more damage on this turret though, so it's just going to be a couple more kills to answer out the gold and bring them actually into a lead. They're about 300, 400 gold up right now, which is really good for them after losing that first blood. The game's pretty much at an even state. The only notable advantage really is that FlyQuest has done a lot of damage onto this mid lane turret for TSM Academy. We have to see if they're able to pressure it anymore. It looks like they really want to get this turret down. Rise is here though. Let's see if he's able to clear out the wave. He gets a bunch of damage on the Shrimp. He's able to jump away. Calls up Jarvan to help him clear the wave. But it looks like this is where FlyQuest want to put all their pressures, in the mid lane, since that turret is so low. We have to see if TSM's able to defend that, and if they can make a bait out of it, knowing that FlyQuest wants to play around there. Orianna just grabbed the blue buff for herself. She's heading back to mid lane against the Rise. Oh, there's another fight up here in the top lane. Gnar goes mega, but the stopwatch comes out from Brandine. He's able to get the Gnar ult on him, but misses the Q. The slow does not come in, and Brandini's able to walk away. He will be able to heal up all this with his refillable potion taking, as well as Vlad's sustain. So he should be fine. Not much comes from that fight, just a little bit of poke. But I think Vlad's going to be in a better position here. Oh, the ult comes out from Keen in the middle. They're getting onto a Blazed Olive. The Zac ult comes out, but a Blazed Olive is able to flash away. Tom Kinch does come in, but no one in his mouth. It's a 3v3 now as Greg comes up to move in. The Taric ult comes in, but nothing comes of it. The Elastic Arm comes out, and again, he's not able to contact with the minion, so he doesn't pull Blazed Olive in. There's a lot of Orianna ults coming from Keen, so it's really good to see that aggression coming out of him. I really like seeing FlyQuest make these aggressive moves in the mid lane, really focusing it down. They know a Blaze Olive is one of the strongest carries for TSM Academy, and they want to put Shrimp ahead in that lane. It looks like on the top side of the map, Brandini did solo out No on the Gnar. We don't have a replay system, so we're not able to see how that went. But I guess this is about the point in the game where Vladimir starts taking over that lane. He does have his Frost Queen's claim completed, as well as having the Haunting Guys and the Blasting one. So he's at a strong point right now. It's interesting to note that he did go Mercury Treads against the Gnar rather than the Ninja Tabbies, playing more towards later in the game, or building more towards later in the game, where he knows he's going to be dealing with Orianna and the Kog'Maw, who both do a lot of magic damage. Shockwave comes out from Keen again, but this time it misses. Looks like he might recall back till he knows he's going to push out one more wave before he does so. yeah. The farm advantage is still there for TSM, although it hasn't grown much. Relatively, it's even. So far just seems like a slow game. There's a lot of games happening, which is good to see, but so far no one's made any damage onto structures or taken any of the neutral objectives. It's a Cloud Drake there in the Drake pit. Oh, there's another fight coming here. And nothing comes of it. It is a Cloud Drake there in the Drake pit, which means that most of these teams aren't going to be looking for that, especially if they're not getting clear advantages on the map. No one's quite made moves for the Rift Herald yet. There's not a whole lot of advantage in the top lane, although the Vlad is up 2 kills. They don't have too much pressure up there, so they're not able to take that Rift Herald yet. Nar can easily push out these waves, so there's not a whole lot of time for TSM to grab the Rift Herald. Taking another look at the item builds, it looks like Rice has gone for the Abyssal Mask over the Rod of Ages. It's a pretty standard thing for Rice to do. He's able to get tanky, and since he scales off of mana, he gets pretty much just as much damage out of the Abyssal Mask as he does out of the Rod of Ages. He doesn't have as much AP, sure, but with the passive of the Abyssal Mask, he has quite a bit of damage. As well as having the cooldown. He does have cooldown boots too. There comes the shockwave from Keen again, looking to put some damage in, but Shady is here first. Shrimp goes in, he's able to get the knockup, he's able to get the ultimate back, but the Terracult comes in just in time. Nothing's able to happen. It looks like both the top laners have teleported into this fight. The stun comes out for Shady, but JJ is there to save the Gnar. We're sitting with 4 people here in the mid lane. But let's see if anything happens. Rice flashes forward, the team's able to flash away from the root. And I think he's going to be able to clear the wave. So again, for all this aggression in the mid lane, no advantages really for either team are coming from it. I am excited though, seeing all this aggression, because that means that there probably are going to be more fights coming up later into this game. The goal is still staying even. Again, there's no clear advantages, and it looks like TSM has decided to finally start up this dragon. It's been sitting here for nearly 20 minutes. Grab the dragon without any problem, and they're moving back to their lanes. And it looks like everyone's just playing to scale up. And like I said with the scaling earlier, I think it's fairly even for both teams. FlyQuest is definitely happy to have their Kog'Maw just sit here and pick up farm, as well as the Orianna. And Vlad's happy on the top lane, getting as much farm as possible for himself. They are sitting on the power spike for Ryze and Ezreal though, so they could start looking to force some fights here if they bring those two to the same fight. Having Ryze on the Abyssal Mask plus tier means that he's in a really strong spot right now, as well as having that Ezreal Trinity Force completed. He's going to be doing a lot of damage. I would like to point out that Ezreal did go with the Trinity Force over the Iceborne Gauntlet. We have been seeing a lot more of the Iceborne Gauntlet lately, but in this game, since there's not a whole lot of physical damage, Mr. Rawlez felt that he could go for the Trinity Force and do more damage rather than having to worry about being defensive on that item. Looks like there's pings coming mid lane. Blaze Olive throws out the Ryze ult. Grid takes it, but it looks like they're backing up as they see the Tom Pinch coming in. Oh, that's a wonderful ult from Keen. The pullback Ryze, and he is dead again. Or I guess that's the first time for Ryze, for all the ganks in the mid lane. And they do manage to take out this turret, and they're trying to press for a second one. And it looks like TSM Academy is not in a place to respond to this. So off of that beautiful collapse in the mid lane, FlyQuest is able to pick up 2 turrets and a kill. And that puts them about 2,000 gold in the lead. On the top side, Brandini was able to push in a couple waves and get some damage on the turret, but FlyQuest Academy is really pushing this and going for the Baron now. They still have 4 seconds on a Blaze Olive to respawn, but Greg is there. They see him on a ward, so they back off of it. This means they're going to be slower to reset, so TSM Academy might have an advantage right here with more people on the map. FlyQuest hasn't been able to go back and spin this gold just yet, which they want to do after picking up both those turrets. And it looks like they're going to be able to do that now. So, really big play out of FlyQuest, able to grab that kill, 2 turrets, and put them in a very good gold lead. And there's really no response. Brandini might be able to get this top turret, and he does, so he evens that out a little bit. And it looks like on the bottom side, Rise might also be able to get quite a bit of damage on that turret. So, with FlyQuest trying that Baron and being slow to reset, they gave a lot of pressure back to TSM Academy, where they were able to get a lot of damage onto the structures. They might be able to actually even out this turret count, depending on how much time Rise has there in the bottom lane. He's not really great at pushing, or he's good at pushing, but he's not great at tower damage, but he is able to get that. He puts the root onto No. Let's see if No wants to chase this. There's no one around for either team, but there's not great vision for FlyQuest on the bottom side of the map, so No is not able to chase down Rise. Airy does steal away the red buff from TSM's side, and it looks like they're going to put their pressure in the top lane here too, and take that turret down. This puts them 1 turret ahead of TSM Academy. TSM is not able to answer with the turret in the mid lane thanks to that Tom Kinch ult. I've been seeing a lot of really good team play out of this Tom Kinch, able to ult into the mid lane every time they're trying to make a play. It's really good for FlyQuest Academy to be proactive, knowing that they have all these globals, and really putting them to use, putting pressure on the mid lane. Great play out of them, able to, net them this advantage where they're up a full turret, up 1,000 gold, which isn't a huge lead here, 23 minutes into the game. But if they're able to keep putting pressure and moving around the map the way they have been, I imagine that they're going to be able to keep getting advantages. FlyQuest is putting a lot of their wards up here on the red side of the map around Baron Pit. Just trying to get some vision around Baron now that it has spawned. Looks like this is going to be FlyQuest's next objective that they're looking for, is just playing around Baron and trying to get a pick. They are able to jump onto Shady, but it looks like a pretty good disengage. Gnar cancels his teleport coming in above them, and that looks like the fight is going to sizzle out there. That does mean, however, that TSM Academy is going to have more pressure with Brandini still having his teleport on the Vladimir. So we'll have to see if he's able to put more pressure onto the Gnar and keep pushing in that turret, knowing that they're able to move together and collapse as a 5-man unit, whereas FlyQuest might not be able to. Looks like JJ might have taken Unsealed Spellbook as his rune, as he now has teleport on this Tom Kinch. So not only does he have his ultimate, but he also has the summoner spell, so he's really able to move around the map quite a bit here, and just be with his team. However, since he's not a split pusher, he really can't match the pressure that Brandini's teleport is going to have. And it looks like they want to fight over this Inferno Drake that just spawned. FlyQuest is coming in on the side, and they have cleared out the vision. The TSM Academy does get the smite on the Drake, but the fight is broken out. Shrimp's in a bad place, he pops his passive, the ult comes out from Shady, a huge shockwave, but everyone was invulnerable from the Taric ult. So far it's 1-for-1 with just the junglers going down. Mr. Rawlins is looking to chase with some of his poke on the Ezreal, but he's missing his Qs, and it looks like they're going to all walk away now. So overall advantage for TSM Academy, able to pick up that Drake and trade 1-for-1 in kills, both of them losing the jungler. And that actually hurts FlyQuest a little bit more since they've lost the Zac passive as well as Zac's life. Looking at the summoner spell, it's blown in that fight. Keen blew his heal as well as the Kog'Maw flash. On the other side, it looks like it was the Rise, Ghost, and the Taric exhaust. So overall, that was great for TSM Academy. They didn't have to lose too much on that, just giving up Grig's life. And he's already won 3-2, so it's not that big of a deal. No shutdown going over to FlyQuest. Same on the side of TSM Academy. There was no shutdown onto the Zac. So yeah, overall, great play from TSM Academy. They were able to get in position around that Fire Drake first. And they burned it down fast enough. Made the fight even. So we'll have to see if FlyQuest keeps putting their pressure around the Baron here. Shrimp is still clearing out wards, and they have a lot more pressure on the side of FlyQuest as far as being able to put down vision into TSM's jungle. They are pushing their vision further. Oh, he gets the elastic arm and knocks Grig into the wall, but they aren't able to follow up on it. Jay goes for a lick, but misses. Tarkstun comes out onto Zac, but he's able to use his ult. Pulls 2 over to the side, but he gets them right into his Kog'Maw, which is not where he wants to go. However, Orianna's there and able to get a huge shockwave. This fight is a mess all over the place. No is on top of Mr. Wallace, and it looks like he might kill the Ezreal. Now it's just a Blaze Olive trapped with 3 members, but he's able to use his Rise ult as well as Lasagna's to get out. But here comes Tom Kinch on the backside. Keen is there as well, and it looks like a Blaze Olive is going to go down. Now Brandini's stuck 1v3. It looks like he probably should have gotten out when he had the chance. He wants to get this kill on Dano, but he's not able to. A lot of damage coming out from that tongue lash from the Tom Kinch. And it's an ace for 2 on the side of FlyQuest Academy. Really great team fight from them. The team fight was just kind of all over the place. Really split up team fight with Ezreal being on his own, not able to have protection away from the Gnar, whereas Airy on the Kog'Maw, although he was trapped in the Kog'Maw ult, Keen was there easy, quick enough to be able to take out the Jarvan and I believe the Taric, who also got pulled in by the Zac ult. However, it didn't look like FlyQuest was able to pick up a whole lot of advantage while they had the numbers pressure on the map. They are moving into Baron now with Ryze coming from base. They do have the numbers advantage right now, and it's going to be a smite fight, but FlyQuest Academy picks it up, and it looks like the fight is going to be disengaged from there. So FlyQuest was able, even though everyone had respawned on the side of TSM Academy, they were able to pick up the Baron. It looks like they want to pressure mid lane with this Baron buff. Everyone is healthy enough, so no one has to recall. Going to clear out some wards and push in with this first push of the Baron buff. I'm surprised that No is not trying to split on the Gnar, but it looks like they want to have everyone here in case a fight does break out. Again, a Blaze Olive is able to escape using the Rise ult, but this means that he can't do it again if the fight does break out. Brandini's going in with his ult, the giant Jarvan ult, but it doesn't look like they have enough damage. Taric ult is coming out, and Shrimp is unstoppable right now. He gets 4 people in the giant ultimate coming back, but Airy is dead, JJ is dead, Shrimp is dead, and it's just 2 left on the side of FlyQuest Academy. They pushed a little too hard, and they forced a little bit too hard with Shrimp going in on that Zac, trying to get the inhibitor and get the fight, and it did not go their way. Really good outplay from TSM Academy. Everyone's able to stay healthy with the Taric healing them up. And it looks like they're the ones getting the push, while FlyQuest Academy has the Baron buff. Keen and No both do have their own Baron buff left, so there might be able to be a 4-1 split going on for the side of FlyQuest. They lost a lot of time with that Baron buff, so I don't know how much more they're going to be able to get out of this. They did get 1 turret, but they had to trade it back for 2 of their own. And they weren't able to get the inhibitor. The game's pretty much back to even, only 1,000 gold and the advantage of FlyQuest Academy. Kills are even, but TSM Academy does have the advantage of the Drakes. So they're going to be able to scale better having that Inferno Drake. And it looks like FlyQuest is trying to make a push here on the bottom lane and take down this last remaining outer turret. Really easy pickup having that Baron buff and being this late into the game, having pressure. And it looks like a Cloud Drake has spawned again, and FlyQuest is going to pick up their first Drake of the game. I'd be surprised if TSM tries to collapse on this one. It doesn't seem something worth fighting over for them, and it looks like they're just going to let FlyQuest have this strategy. FlyQuest is going to reset after that, and let's see where they decide to make their push. Looks like Kog'Maw and Orianna are both heading towards the mid lane. They don't want TSM to be able to push that out, and TSM is going to start putting down some wards around Baron again and clearing out their vision. Shrimp is going in for another engage. She does have the Orianna ball on him. Jay comes in with the Tom Pinch ult, and it doesn't look like anything's going to come away from that. Looks like they were trying to force a little bit too hard on FlyQuest Academy's side. Everyone was just too far away for anything to happen there. And TSM are able to walk out of that one for free. It does look like FlyQuest Academy wants to put some pressure on this mid lane inhibitor, but it's going to be very difficult for them to actually crack this without having a Baron buff or taking a fight win. Clearing out some vision here in the middle lane, but Shrimp is sitting on a ward there. They do drop a pink ward, so it's possible for him to get a flank later on here in the future. Nova's pushing out this bottom lane, and so FlyQuest collapses and are able to get a push onto this bottom lane turret. Brandini takes a lot of damage here on the onset, and it looks like they're going to have to give up this tower. Really good job by FlyQuest, able to have that pressure in the bottom lane. Looks like their top lane is also pushing for them. So depending on how they rotate, they might be able to push and get that last outer turret in the top lane. Looks like that's where they want to move the pressure. They clear out the mid lane here as they make the rotation towards the top. They're hoping to catch someone out here in the jungle, as TSM doesn't really have any vision in the jungle. Hoping to find someone as they make that rotation up towards the top lane to defend. And it doesn't look like that's going to happen. Ahri does pick up a red buff on his way. Ezreal ult comes out to clear that wave, and that might be enough to stop the top lane push. There's not a whole lot of minions here left for FlyQuest, but they are going to be making this attempt at sieging the top lane turret. Gnar is continuing to push in the bottom lane, so it's a 4v4 here. And I'm not really sure what Vlad's doing. It looks like he's going back to base, and so he might come from base, but it's not a whole lot happening here. Gnar is probably going to be able to get some damage on the bottom lane inhibitor turret, while TSM is up here trying to defend. Gnar does have teleport, while Vlad does not, but it is fairly short distance to walk, so there's not going to be a huge advantage if the Gnar has to teleport into the lane. He will get there a few seconds faster, but not by much. And it looks like this Kog'Maw, having his W on, is able to get some damage on the turret. Shrimp wants to try coming around behind them, but he cancels his elastic slingshot and decides not to go for the fight. No on this Gnar is able to hold his own, not taking really any damage from Brandini, able to just keep up pressure on the bottom side of the map. And it looks like FlyQuest Academy is going to abandon their siege of the top lane turret, knowing that Baron's coming up in about 40 seconds. They want to get prepared for that, make sure that they bot in case a team fight comes up, and start getting some vision around Baron. We're moving up right now. Ahri just looks like he wants to farm up some more, although I'm not sure why he's going to the bottom lane when Baron is about to spawn. If TSM Academy gets vision of the Kog'Maw on the bottom side, that does give them a window of opportunity where they're going to be able to put some more pressure on the Baron and maybe rush it down. They don't have great Baron damage. Vlad and Ryze are okay at it, but compared to like the Kog'Maw and Orianna, FlyQuest definitely can do it faster. And it looks like Kog'Maw is starting to move up here towards the mid lane, where a fight is probably going to break out. FlyQuest has no vision up around here, though. And it looks like TSM Academy is just going to be stuck trying to go back to their base. FlyQuest pushes out the mid lane, so now they do have pressure in order to clear out some of that vision in the Baron pit. And it looks like that's where they're going to move to. Nova's staying here in the mid lane, trying to keep some harassment on them. But if they collapse onto No, it could be pretty bad for him, as he is separated from the team. Looks like Shrimp wanted to start something there, but thought better of it. Right now, FlyQuest does have the advantage of being able to push out the mid lane, but TSM Academy still has a lot of vision around the Baron area, so they shouldn't be too worried. They know that everyone's sitting in this pit, or in this bush, even though they don't have vision on it, but they'd have all the wards around it to know when they enter and leave the bush. Looks like Great tried to wrap around, but he might be getting himself to a tough spot. He goes in, Brandini flashes over, gets a huge Hemo Plague. Does a lot of damage in the backside, but it looks like Aerie is able to pick him up before he's able to do too much. Rise gets his ult off and escapes, but so far it's a 1 for nothing. A huge stun comes out onto the Gnar, but Tom Pinch doesn't even care. He just eats him up, pulls him away. And that's a 1 for 0 in favor of FlyQuest, and now they have pressure on the Baron as they were able to kill Vladimir. However, Grig is still alive on this Jarvan, so it's not quite safe for them to start this Baron. They just want to bait a fight right now, hoping that the 4v5 is enough for them to win a fight. Gnar is going Mega, so he might look to go in now. And they decide not to. They all decide to back off. We have to see what TSM Academy does with this time they have on the map. It looks like they're going to reset as well, seeing as how their bottom lane inhibitor turret is taking a lot of damage from the minion waves. The teleport comes in from Gnar. He's going straight back to the Baron pit, and not everyone recalled from FlyQuest Academy. They baited it so well, waited for TSM's recalls to come through. Now they're able to rush down the Baron. Drake is still here. He slides and drags in, and it's a smite fight, but Shrimp is able to pick it up on the Zac. You have to wonder a little bit about FlyQuest Baron control. They've started off 2 of these Barons with Grig in the area. Both times he's managed to get into the pit and smite the Baron, but Shrimp just has the slightly better smite timings on the Zac. They were able to rise ult towards this dragon, the Elder Dragon, but Shrimp and JJ are here. Shrimp goes in, the smite comes in for Grig this time. And it looks like they're going to pop the Zac passive. Card ult comes down, but King is able to pick up the kill before it hits anyone. Jarvan goes down, being eaten by the Tom Kinch. At the same time, Zac was popped after the passive. 2 for 1 in favor of FlyQuest Academy, and they have the Baron. TSM was able to pick up the Elder Dragon, although it didn't help them a whole lot in that last fight, as FlyQuest Academy was able to still win the fight. They are pushing up here in the mid lane with the Baron buff, and they want to try and take out this inhibitor. And it looks like they should be able to do so since they have the numbers advantage. I imagine they're going to go rotate towards the bot lane and see if they can take this out. Right, the turret already fell, so all they have left is the inhibitor. This is going to be a huge advantage for FlyQuest Academy, having 2 inhibitors down. As well as having the Baron buff. We'll have to see if they're able to push in these minions and take down any of the Nexus turrets. And it looks like they're just going to reset, maybe move to make a top lane push with this Baron buff, trying to take out all 3 inhibitors. Right now, TSM Academy has to be a little bit careful, as they do have 2 waves of super minions coming in. They sent Ezreal down to the bottom lane to try and clear out one of them before it becomes too big of a wave for them to deal with. And FlyQuest Academy is moving up here into the top lane. They have a giant wave with 3 cannon minions, so they should be able to just really quickly take down the remaining towers on the side of TSM Academy. And really, FlyQuest is in a really good spot where they should be able to close out this game, barring some kind of disastrous team fight on their side. Gnar does go Mega, so we have to see if they fight while he's still Mega, or if TSM Academy is able to wait out until he's exhausted. Shrimp is looking for a bit of a flank, see if he can surprise anyone, but they sweep out these wards. FlyQuest doesn't have any vision on the back side of them anymore. I take that back, they weren't able to actually clear the wards, so they do have some vision. Blaze Olive is going around the side, gets some good damage onto Shrimp, but not able to get much more. They're chipping away at this tower while the super minions are starting to come into the base of TSM Academy. So as long as FlyQuest plays this slow and keeps bringing in the waves, they should have the pressure from the minions if they time it right to be able to take out the turret, while someone has to go deal with the super minions. Looks like Shrimp is going for an engage. Didn't work out too well for them last time, but they are able to take out the turret while a couple people were in the fountain healing back up. They managed to pop the Banshee's Veil on the Vladimir, but nothing else comes from that. Let's see if they're able to get this third inhibitor. No goes in. This is the ultimate, and Grig goes in, but the Flag and Drag doesn't hit anyone. The Taric stun comes in, only hits 2 of them. Zac goes back in, throws his ultimate down, brings back a Blaze Olive on the rise, and he's not able to get the Blaze out before the Zhonya's. He might be in trouble here. Trip's taking a lot of damage. Giant ultimate comes in for Grig, but he goes down inside the pit. No, I'm sorry, it was Rise that went down. No is incredibly low, and it looks like the fight ends up being a 1-for-1. However, super minions are coming into the base for FlyQuest Academy. They're able to take out one Nexus tower. FlyQuest Academy is now taking the inhibitor, and it looks like they're going to push to end this game. No takes a lot of damage. He might not be able to join this fight without going down. He does transform into Mega, which gives him a lot of health back. They're getting a lot of damage onto this last remaining Nexus tower. Let's see if another fight breaks out before the game ends. No flashes in with a huge Mega Gnar, but Grig is able to avoid it. Brandini goes into his pool. However, Brandini's going to go down without being able to heal that back up, as Aerie is free firing on the back line of this. He's able to take down the turret. Grig goes in, the flash comes out, and they're not able to get the stun onto the Cogmaw, and the Cogmaw picks up a triple kill as he ends the game. Victory in favor of FlyQuest Academy. Okay, let's go ahead and take a quick look at the stats after the game for that FlyQuest victory over TSM. Looking at it, the gold was still pretty even towards the end of the game. Let's take a look at the team gold advantage. They were able to pick up quite a bit towards the end, but still only 6.6 thousand gold at the end of that long game is not a huge advantage. I believe this was after their first Baron. They were really able to get, so after their first Baron, they were able to get an advantage. However, they lost the fight after that. And TSM Academy kept the gold pretty close throughout most of the game. They just were never able to play in a way that let them get any more than just a few thousand gold behind. Let's take a look at statistics here. Damage dealt by champions, or damage dealt to champions. Really the most damage in the game was the Ezreal, able to poke out people. Cogmaw and Orianna both had pretty good numbers, as well as the Gnar. But TSM Academy overall had better damage numbers, having that Ezreal able to poke out really just didn't amount to much. Looking at everyone's KDA, Shrimp had quite a few deaths, 5 deaths, but he was able to always start fights with those deaths. He kept going in and forcing fights, which usually turned out well for FlyQuest Academy. Was 16-12 in kills, so they were never able to really stomp the game for the side of FlyQuest. But their map movements, having the Tom Kinch with the teleport and his ultimate, as well as just having Shrimp continually start fights, meant that TSM was on the back foot pretty much the entire time. Just never really able to play how they wanted to or force the fights the way they wanted to. They always engaged after FlyQuest made their initial engage, and although they did have some good combinations with the Jarvan and the Taric ult, no one else was usually able to get in at the same time. So those two were on the same page, but no one else went in with them. The Vlad had to continually ult out as he was too far forward, and the Ezreal was just on the side doing damage. There was no real combo for them that they were ever able to pull off in a meaningful way. Whereas on the side of FlyQuest, Keen had some great ults, able to pick up people, and Airy was never really too threatened, especially with having that Tom Kinch in his back pocket, where he is able to pull out a lot of damage in the team fights. Overall, this was a great game for FlyQuest Academy. TSM Academy, they had some problems with their teamwork and coordination. Although they do have players with some big name recognition, that doesn't mean a whole lot when it comes to team play. So really good job on to FlyQuest Academy, especially with Shrimp and Keen playing together before, having some of that synergy brought back into the mid lane, really able to put some pressure onto a Blaze Olive in the laning phase. I think that's going to wrap it up for this game. Check me out on my YouTube. I'm going to be doing more of these Academy videos, at least until Riot starts casting their own. Leave me any feedback you want. Thanks.